Hey people, Indrid here, 1v1, Broken Leg Gully. Yes, they put me back on that map with the super bright snow that annoys me. But how can I be annoyed for long when I have my glorious Nergal fellas here? Up against Grand Cathay, which was exciting, never played against them before. I knew they had a bunch of ranged units potentially, so I thought it was time to break out the Nergal Air Force. So we have 3 Heralds of Nurgle on Rotflies here. The fellow on the right is my Lord. Decent chunk of hit points, I think. Not the most impressive combat stats ever, but good melee defense makes him quite tanky with the cloud of flies in there, and a bunch of armor piercing damage as well. This guy is a wizard spellcaster, so don't expect him to be the greatest fighter ever. And my plan for this one was not to bring Fleshy Abundance like I typically do. I wanted to try and bring a bunch of low cost spells and trigger Children of Nergal a bunch of times. So I've brought Miasma of Pestilence, a melee attack nuke and a charge bonus nuke, and Curse of the Leper, which gives a unit armor and also lets it reflect melee damage, which is pretty cool. You can also overcast this to double its effects, although I typically don't overcast stuff because it's got a 50% miscast rate. This guy also comes with Locus of Fecundity. This is not a spell. Doesn't cost any wins, but it is limited to 3 uses. It's an AoE health regeneration with vigor loss reduction, which is pretty cool. So that's him. The 2 Herald heroes also on flies. Again, not the most amazing combat stats, but not bad. And they've got 90 speed on a flying mount, let's not forget. Good chunk of hit points and a bunch of armor piercing damage. They also, of course, have Children of Nergal, and they are going to be spamming the Stream of Corruption. It's basically a line attack. It says tear-shaped, but it seems to be very straight line from when I used it. Poison stuff, does some damage, and of course will trigger the Children of Nergal. These guys also have Cloud of Flies, of course, and they've got this thing, the Locus of Virulence. Not limited to uses. This thing is just on a cooldown. Gives you a massive 24 melee attack in an AoE and some armor piercing damage. Awesome thing to have. These guys, I think the 2 heroes were like 1850 gold and this guy's like 2200 or something, which didn't leave me much for the rest of my starting army. So we've got some Plague Bearers. These are your basic Demons of Nurgle, good stand and fight infantry. They have the Cloud of Flies. And something I've discovered, kind of, by looking through some other units, 48 weapon strength is pretty damn good for a tier 2. These guys are tier 2 unit, yeah, and a big chunk of hit points. I did have some gold left over, so I leveled these fellas up, and I've got some Nurglings. Tier 1 infantry, pretty damn good. These guys have huge amounts of hit points per model. They've only got 60 fellas, but 8400 hit points, because each unit, each model consists of a bunch of Nurglings kind of rambling around together, so they're very hard to kill, those guys. And I'm up against all of this stuff. I was kind of like, what the heck? How does this guy have so much stuff on the field? He's got, I think it was 12 units and their lord, whereas I had 4 and my lord, 2 of those being heroes. They're all peasants though. Got a bunch of peasant long spearmen, tier 1 anti-large fellas, not very impressive, but you get 160 of them. And I was very worried that they'd be able to just sit on point, sit on the mid, and I wouldn't be able to chew through them fast enough before reinforcements arrive and stuff, because those flying units in this game do not have any capping power, even if you tell them specifically to land. They've got a bunch of tier 1 archers. Again, not great stats, but 120 of them shooting arrows at you. And they've got some more long spearmen. They also have some cavalry somewhere. Oh, they're hiding over in the forest over here. Now, I don't know much about Cathay, but I do have this yin and yang mechanic. You see these guys have this like glowing symbol. That means you have yin units and yang units. If you get them close to each other, you get this bonus, this harmony bonus here, which gives you some cool bonuses, as you can see. And your lord will typically amplify the harmony, I guess, if they're close by. So we've got this guy. I saw the word dragon and was very worried that this guy could turn into a dragon, but I think that's only our lady? I don't know. Fella over here. I think that's only the legendary lords that can turn into dragons. Let's get it on normal speed. This guy is also a wizard and pretty comparable stats to my freaking demons, by the way, which seems a bit odd. I know the heralds aren't amazing, but you'd think they'd be stronger than just a fella walking around. I guess these are super magic fellas or something. Pretty damn good melee attack, and I mean, not a lot of armor piercing weapon strength, but it's there. And what spells do they have? They've got Talons of the Night, huge stationary area of effect, doing a small amount of damage per second. It must be a huge area, like it says. 15-meter radius, it says. Ancestral Warriors, so they do have a summon. And they have this thing, 75% physical resist they can put on themselves, I imagine. Yeah, a ward save. So I sent my 3 Rotfly fellas, my 2 heroes, and my Lord into the ranged units. I knew I couldn't cap with these guys. There's a Stream of Corruption. Look at the damage it does. Pretty damn good. Because these guys only have like 50 or 60 health per model. So doing 28 with Stream of Corruption, you're cutting their health in half almost. Pretty damn good. And these guys are pretty tough in melee. I mean, this fella's getting shot quite a lot. But they're going to be almost impossible for those fellas to take out in melee. So I'm calling in some Chaos Furies. These guys are quick as hell. 110 speed compared to the 90 of my fellas riding flies. Decent melee attack. Very low melee defense though. Although the Nergal ones are helped out by having Cloud of Flies. Decent charge bonus. Actually really damn good weapon strength, I think, for a tier 2. Up over 40. Oh, there's one of the summons. Ancestral Warriors. So these guys are a tier 3, getting their weapon strength debuffed by the poison. But even if it wasn't debuffed, it would have been 36 or 39 or something. And here come my slow Plague Bearers. Furies coming in to help me out with the ranged units. I mean, the fellas on flies are great at holding things in place, tanking hits, but they're not the killiest of things, like a lot of Nergal units, I guess. The Lord is chasing these guys off. They have routed, but they haven't broken yet. And he's just sitting on the central point. There's so much capping power here. I've got some Nurglings on my natural point. He's sending up some Celestial Dragon Guard. Tier 3 infantry. These guys are awesome. Look at them. Got a shield and a big old halberd thing. 36 weapon strength with 20 bonus versus large. Won't help them against Nurglings, of course, but pretty damn cool. And yeah, 48 melee defense. A bunch of armor, 100 models, and a shield. Solid tier 3, those guys. Solid tier 3. My camera's going mental. Sorry about that. Look how glowy it is over there. It's very annoying. Go back to the mid. My Fury's doing some really good work. Impressed with how they performed in this game. Whacked out those. There's another Stream of Corruption, which is awesome. Big fan of that. Got to try taking the, or bringing the boil. There's like a big boil thing you can cast that explodes. That looks fun. Maybe against Khorne or something, that would be good. So mixing it up here. What do you have as a weapon? You just fighting me with your hands? What is this? That's pretty nuts. And what do they have on their natural? They're sending some peasant horsemen to it and calling in some archers. They can shoot me from the cliff, I suppose. And here is the second summon of Ancestral Warriors, and I think they only got 2 uses of that, didn't they? Yeah, use is 0 now. So the only spell they took was the Talons of Night. We'll see how it goes. They have Power of Yin. Oh, look at that. When they cast a spell, they debuff my armor and speed in 55 meters. That's pretty cool. Got a Jade Amulet as well. So I'm sending large units into Spearmen. I kind of have no choice because I don't have much width to my army. I did get some more Plague Bearers in, but I've gone ahead of the capture point, which I often do, because this doesn't show up in the game unless you mouse over it like I'm doing here. So I often miss the bloody thing. So I've got to bring people back. This guy's just keeping the summon in there to cap it and stuff. And I'm using spells when I can to pop the Children of Nergal and stuff, which gives you a, what is it again? It's 0.2% for 5 seconds, I think. So you get a 1% heal basically off this every time you cast. And I got a hell of a lot of casts out of my cheap spells. There's another Stream of Corruption. I guess it is more tier shaped than I thought when I was fighting in the actual battle. The little marker that you put down is very, very thin. These guys are idle here. They're just adding some capping weight, I guess. And there is... what did I just pop there? Curse of the Lepers up for armor and melee damage reflection. So that's what that looks like. Trying to learn what the spells kind of look like. And I've got some Exalted Plague Bearers in. These fellas are awesome. So much hit points. And they've got a ranged attack with good damage on it. And 52 weapon strength isn't bad as well. I kind of just sit them there to cap and shoot at whatever they can see. And now it's time to bring, because he sent all of his horsemen here, look, which is too much for my poor Nurglings to deal with. Sorry again about it being so incredibly bright. No graphic effects that I could, or graphic options that I found, change that. Just very strange lighting on this map. So, not a great fight for my heroes and my lord here. Celestial Dragon Guard basically are built to take out single large entities, so these guys have kind of a rough time in there. Did I just pop the Locus of Fecundity? No, I didn't. Here comes some more Air Force. We've got Plague Drones of Nergal, so these are flies actually ridden by Plague Bearers, I guess. Really good weapon strength, pretty good combat stats, good speed. You only get 10 models though, and they don't have much of a charge bonus, but they've got Cloud of Flies, that physical resist from demons and stuff. They're pretty solid, I think, and they're helping to chew through these peasant horsemen, these poor peasant horsemen. Look how much damage I'm taking here. On my heralds, I guess they're called plague riddens when they're heroes. Just my lord is called a herald, fair enough. We've got some more plague bearers making their way to the mid. Lots of idle units, I guess. They don't want to charge my plague bearers here. They're just going to get torn up. I don't have the mid. They have enough capping strength here. And here comes some artillery. I've got some pox riders. These cost 1,000 gold. So you better do some work for me, fellas. I mean, it's all spearmen in the mid. So I need to get on these guys, that's for sure. How much weapon strength is that? 622 weapon strength. That is average over 10 seconds or something, yeah. But it's a lot of damage. I think I'll call in some Furies to deal with that. And he can call in Furies from the Vanguard point, which is awesome. So they're very quick and their Vanguard deployment. Just trying to get some more bodies on the mid. Not attacking, because I know they're going to try and draw me off the point. So here comes some... These are the Furies I had before, I think. These ones might be new. And I'm sending them both in to take out this fire rain rocket. Huge amount of forces this guy can bring in, but mostly low tier. Aside from the Celestial Dragon Guard, and these guys are still holding on here. They're poisoned, they're surrounded, but they are holding on. Got 16 kills. We eventually wear him down, and we have the point sewn up. They're bringing in some more Celestial Dragon Guard. Here come my Pox Riders. I decide to just charge them into spears here, with my lord coming in from the other side, the herald. And my two plague ridden are over there, are they? Yeah, my two plague ridden fellas are over there. We've still got this dragon blooded Shugengan lord. I want to see this fella in melee. Lady? It's a lady. I want to see this lady in melee. So we got the mid back. As you can see, they have got a sizable victory ticket lead. I'm feeling like I'm mopping up in terms of fights, but they just had so many bodies that they outcapped me on the mid quite a lot. But I've got it back, and it's going to be pretty damn difficult for them to take it back, especially with the fire rain rocket destroyed by the Furies. Impressed with the numbers these Furies put up. We'll check it end of the game. A lot of my units must have got tons of kills, but most of it was like garbage units. They are putting a lot of pressure on my natural victory point, or victory location, I think the game calls them. But I've got a bunch of Nurglings there, got my flies over there. Pretty confident I can hold it just by sheer amount of bodies. As I said before, Nurglings can be difficult to grind down. A lot of hit points per entity. Pox Riders chasing down some fleeing peasant horsemen. That's my Furies just disintegrating there. These guys survive though. They're going to come and get on these archers, which are trying to set up with some dragon... Oh, these are dragon crossbowmen. Huh. 160 range, good missile strength with armor piercing, and actually not bad melee stats as well, so they can hold their own in melee. Are they tier 3? Yeah, those guys are tier 3. But my Fury is doing some good work here. Up to 28 melee defense because of the cloud of flies. Pretty happy with that. Those guys cost only 550 gold, the Furies. And I think they're pretty damn good for their cost. Here comes some Plague Toads. Those are like Pox Riders, but there's nothing riding them. Only 650 gold, those guys. And I'm starting to get control here. Have control of the mid. It's going to be very difficult for them to grab it back, but I'm still behind on victory tickets. And I can't do the math fast enough while I'm playing to know whether I have enough time to catch up on it on 2 points. That can be the problem with Nergal. They're so slow that trying to get to that central point first is difficult. Once you get it, you can't let it go because it's so difficult to get it back with your poor speed. I want to see this unit fighting. What animations do you have? What do you do? Is it just like Kung Fu? What's going on here?
One of your units has been...
My units has been defeated. Yeah. It's getting knocked over a lot. So knocking stuff over on this game is pretty good for disabling it, because obviously you can't do anything when you're knocked over. But it's not that good for doing damage. When a unit is knocked down like this, it seems like everything completely ignores it. Nothing tries to attack it when it's knocked down. Oh, look at that. What are those eye lasers? I don't know what that was. That was cool. I'll start to push up in with my Plague Bearers here and my Exalted Plague Bearers, just chasing these guys off. I should be refocusing them. There we go. Go after those guys. My Exalted fellas did use all their ammo. I'm not getting to see this lady fight much. They're always on the ground. Yeah, constantly disrupted by the flies and having crap thrown at them. Having a rough time. Completely isolated there. Still behind on victory tickets. It's getting close. It's first to 5,000. By the way, you get 5 tickets per point you control per second. So controlling all 3 does lock your opponent out of getting any tickets at all, which is fun. But it's taken me a while to grind through this. These flies are awesome, but not the most killy, although it's a lot of models to get through, and those are Celestial Dragon Guard with some levels on them, by the way. It looked like there. Can you level up in the middle of battle in multiplayer? I'm not sure if you can. So my Plague Toads are getting killed, getting shot to death over there. Just being very mindful not to be dragged off the central point here, so keeping my Exalted Plague Bearers nice and steady, nice and still. Up here, these Celestial Dragon Guard are still around, doing a lot of work against my Plague Drones, as you may expect. Being large units and all, got more Nurglings coming in, got more Furies coming in. And I've taken a lead, there we go. Taken a lead. Again, going to be very difficult for them to put pressure on here. Someone pointed out in the comments, which is good advice, I think, to not fight on the point if you hold the point. You want to fight ahead of it so they never get on it to disrupt your capping kind of thing. It's easier said than done though with Nergal. They're so slow to just reposition that if something gets around you, it's painful because you can't get back again. Close victory then. They just tried to swarm me with sheer numbers there and mobility, but I think my Air Force did pretty well. Very happy with how my Herald and my 2 Plague Riddens did. We'll see their stats going into the score screen thing here. How did they do? Huge amounts of kills as expected, but how much damage was it? 10,000, 20,000 on this guy, 14,000 on this guy. As you can see, in terms of gold value, only this Plague Ridden actually did well. The first Plague Bearers actually paid for themselves, and the first Nurglings almost paid for themselves. Their peasants really struggled to get any damage, but they were there as bodies just to cap stuff. It's worth noting that these peasant units are tagged as being expendable, so when they die, it doesn't upset other units. They don't lose leadership for them dying, kind of thing. Look how well the Furies did. doubled their cost in damage deltas gold. I mean, picking on arch units is basically what they're designed to do, but they did really well at it. Decent kills from the other stuff. How did the fire rain rocket got no kills? Did a bunch of damage, over 3,000, but we got on it pretty quick. Yeah, and these Celestial Dragon Guard were awesome. A bunch of Celestial Dragon Crossbowmen. So it looks like their plan was just to swarm in with junk at the start, cap the points, and then come in with some high tier infantry to reinforce. They just couldn't get there quite quickly enough. But there you have it, guys. Thank you for watching. It was fun to fight against Grand Cathay finally. Maybe I'll get an Ogre game or a Tzeentch game soon. And I'll see you then.